Hi, it's Selina Maitreya, and thank you for sticking with me. We're on day 3 of my new video program, 3 Key Steps to Success in Commercial Photography. Today, we're talking about expectations, the hidden block. Yesterday I shared with you information on how you can lose your attitudes. First of all, you have to examine and see where you are, what attitudes you hold. And then I offered you 2 very distinct suggestions that will help you to drop the attitudes that don't serve and move you closer to success. I challenged you to look at where you were, and I asked you to accept the responsibility of choosing to live a life that is purposeful and one where you can build a business that will totally thrive. Today, I'm going to discuss yet another aspect of your success that is never discussed in our industry, or rarely. I don't like the word never, so let me just say rarely discussed in our industry. Yet every successful photographer that I know pays attention and works diligently to shift this particular area. And I'm referring, of course, to expectations. Expectations are ideas that you hold about how things should be. Often they're unconscious, and frequently your expectations, as mine are, as everybody's are totally unrealistic. Many times you don't even know that these expectations are being held by you. They're unconscious, but they are there and they're keeping you from success. One of the things to keep in mind about expectations, hidden expectations, is that they can block very real issues that do exist that you can't begin to address because you're stuck in the false beliefs that you hold. And because I want you to be successful, I'm going to discuss expectations today with you. I'm going to give you ways to identify the expectations that you may be holding, and I'm going to give you practices that you can use to shift so that you'll ultimately be released from the expectations that no longer serve you. Now, once again, you might find yourself thinking that my business isn't slow, Selina, because of expectations. It's not my expectations that hold me back, it's the economy. The economy is why I'm not shooting. Well, my friends, there's expectation and false belief number 1. The expectation there is that something external, the economy, is why you're not succeeding. While the economy has an effect on all of us, I would say that it's not the economy that's holding you back. Your individual business is affected by your efforts much more than by the economy. I know this for a fact because I have lots of clients who are succeeding and they live in the same economy that you do. And if they're doing well in the same economy that you're in, it can't be the economy that's holding you back or your neighbor back. Your expectation is that the economy is what's holding you back, and so you don't make some of the efforts that you might if you lost that very false belief. Maybe you're cutting back on marketing efforts. Many people, when they think the economy is the problem, stop spending money on promoting themselves. That holds them back. It may show up as, why should I bother going on portfolio appointments? Nobody's hiring anyway. I'm wasting my time. Do you see how the expectation that the economy is the problem can lead you astray from seeking the success you deserve? If you believe it's the economy, you cut back on your spending. You believe it's the economy, you don't go on visits. This false belief is getting in the way of your success. Photographers who succeed are mindful of economic trends, but they're not deterred from their efforts. They simply make adjustments, but they keep moving ahead. Let's look at another expectation that many photographers hold. I call this the first date syndrome. Many photographers, without even knowing it, believe that a portfolio visit needs to result in an assignment. Not you, you say? Well, have you ever thought or said to yourself, I go on all of these sales calls. People love my work, but I haven't gotten any assignments. I've heard many photographers say those words to me in consultation. I know that their expectation is that when someone says they love their work, that an assignment will be close at hand. But that's not always the case. In fact, it rarely is. How many times have people gotten married after a first date? The reality is that when someone says they like your work, that the work is appropriate and they'll keep you in mind, they mean that. But that's the beginning of the dance. You need to continue to develop the relationship. But if you hold on to the expectation that the visit is the tipping point and that you don't need to further develop that relationship, you won't. And that's where the problems begin. Because if you hold on to that expectation, you'll never know that you need to develop the relationship. And over time, you won't. So what happens is you go on sales visits, people like the work, they expect follow-up. You don't have any special follow-up for those people, and nothing develops. So over time, you build yet another false belief that sales visits don't matter because you personally haven't seen the results, but they haven't come because you haven't developed the relationship. So what happens is that your unreal expectation that after one visit, you'll get an assignment, it ultimately leads to other false beliefs. And the cycle keeps growing and growing and growing. I could come up with many other examples for you of false beliefs that photographers hold on to that don't serve them. There's the unreal expectation that you should be profitable within a year of marketing. I tell my clients it takes 3 to 5 years of selling and marketing before you're going to see a revenue stream that's consistent and really makes you feel like your efforts are being rewarded. There's the fear that you're not creative enough. That shows up as not testing or working on new shots for your portfolio. And this one is really common. No one wants to see me. No one sees portfolios. That looks like never going on sales appointments. I could continue to go on, but I'd rather teach you how to identify your beliefs and help you to transform them. The first step in releasing expectations that no longer serve is clearly to become aware of the expectations that you hold. Remember earlier on, I said people don't even know that they have expectations. So you need to bring your awareness here. One of the best ways to identify false beliefs is to look at the commitments that you make to yourself that you don't keep. Have you promised yourself that you'd start shooting for a new portfolio? Have you not shot a darn image? Have you told yourself that you need to go on sales calls, but you never make the time to make the phone calls needed? So your first step is to look at the places you're out of alignment with the commitments you've made to yourself in regards to your business. I guarantee you that behind every broken promise lurks a false belief. Let's see how this might work. Perhaps you've committed to creating new images for your portfolio, but as I said, you never sit down to create the shots. Take a look and see if you have a belief that maybe you think, I'm just not creative enough, or that you can't do the work at hand. For most people, the reality is that they're extremely creative. But the fear that they're not overrides their rational knowledge and totally blocks them. Fear shows up in many places and is always an indication of an expectation or a false belief at hand. So you need to identify your false blocks and look for the places that are out of alignment with yourself, examining what's behind your inactivity. What false beliefs are you holding? Once you discover the thoughts you have that don't serve, take the second step. Begin to talk back to those false beliefs. Let's use that example of the photographer who never seems to go on sales calls. If you find that your reason for not going on a sales call is that you feel no one will see you, talk back to that belief and say, clients need to know who photographers are. They need to see me in order to know that I'm there. It's not enough for me to send emails and direct mail. You can also tell yourself, Selina has said that she works with photographers who are successful and not one of them doesn't go on sales calls. They all do. So even though my false belief is saying that nobody's going to see me, of course they will. Of course they will. They see photographers all the time. And if I want to be successful, I've got to go out there and I've got to do that. So step 2 is talking back. Silly as this may sound, it's a very powerful tool. You can talk back to these fears and false beliefs. Then you take step 3. Look at the facts, because fear isn't a fact. Fear is a belief, and it's a belief that's false. So start looking at the facts. You know you're creative, but then do you have the tools you need to go on these appointments? Ask yourself, do I have the goods? Is my portfolio where it needs to be? Often, false beliefs hide true facts. If you ask the questions, do I have the goods? You may discover that you don't. You may look at your portfolio and feel it's not ready to go out. And that's a fact, not a belief. You need to then, very simply, put your attention on your portfolio before you go on the appointment. Do you see the beauty here? This is a little tricky. I want to point it out to you. If you're stuck in old beliefs and you're not able to determine the real issues that are behind you not going out, you thought it was that people don't see you, and that's why you're not going, because you didn't believe that anybody would see you. But when we move through that old belief and we start to examine the facts and we look and see that the book isn't there, that's truly what's holding you back. You knew somewhere inside of you unconsciously that your book wasn't ready to go. I can't tell you how many times I work with photographers that have excuses for not going out, and when we consult together, they're not ready to go out because they don't have the goods. Going back to day 1. Once uncovered, once you get through the false beliefs and you see the facts, once uncovered, you're able to change what you need to shift. You need to build a new portfolio. But if you didn't go through the old beliefs to get to the facts, you wouldn't have known that. So in short, bringing your awareness to your false beliefs and looking what's behind them often uncovers real issues that you can then address. This is hugely powerful. This is a big aha moment for many photographers. Progress is made at this point, and you're steps closer to the success you seek and you so richly deserve. I hope that this video on expectations and beliefs has really given you a window into areas that hold you back. Importantly, I've given you steps that you can use that will release these barriers and that now are currently keeping you from the success you so richly deserve. You know, I am really all about helping photographers. I've been doing this for 30 years. I hope I do it until the day I leave this planet. Through my monthly teleseminar, the articles I write, the photographer's path, and of course, Clarion Call, I seek to bring information to photographers. I hope you've already signed up for Clarion Call 2012. It's going to be amazing. As we move forward, I get more and more excited. I'm talking to the experts. I'm seeing all the hundreds and pretty soon thousands of photographers that are going to be signing up for Clarion Call 2012. And I want you to be there. If you thought this video series gave you even 1, 2, or 3 pieces of information, and I'm hoping it gave you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 pieces of information, you're going to definitely want to come to Clarion Call. It's free. It's 7 hours plus 7+ hours, almost 8 hours. And it's going to be on April 20th, 2012. So go now, if you haven't signed up, to professionalphotographytelesummit.com. I want to thank you very much for joining me for the last 3 days of this very important video series. It's been my true pleasure to share with you 3 very important steps: developing your product, examining and losing attitudes that don't serve, and looking at the expectations you have and releasing them so that you can move forward to the success that you so richly deserve. I'm going to look forward to seeing you on Clarion Call. It's going to be an amazing event. And at that point, you and I, we're going to be talking soon.